And the river still shines and shimmers in the light as it did in our grandfather's day, when they rode all night to fish in the morning and lived in Willapa Bay.
Please remember to take good care of your servers and bartenders. Let's give a big thanks to the volunteers who are here and our wonderful sound woman Megan over here in the corner. Everybody's here doing a great job, and we are super thankful that you are here tonight. Our next performer is Melanie Brown, coming all the way from Juneau, Alaska. Love Juneau, love that town. Melanie is a Naknek River set netter and Bristol Bay. So is Naknek River in Bristol Bay? Or yes, all right. So let's welcome Melanie. I want to know why she's from Juneau, but you're fishing up on in Bristol Bay. Okay, so she says her mom's from Naknek, and that's why she's fishing up there. I think she's got some music for us. So let's give a big round of applause for Melanie Brown.
Thank you. I'm going to start with the salmon song. These are all original songs that I developed with my music partner. I play in a duo called Sunny Porch, and I wish Marcus could be here, but I'm having fun on my own too. Filled with purpose, flash of silver light, jumping joy grouped in a movement. Your return brings us life. When it's time to go home, you know the pull of your home stream guides you, giving spawn to young you'll never see. Your body feeds the world around you, pulsing filled with purpose, flash of silver light, jumping joy grouped in a movement. Your return brings us life. Your return brings us life. Your return brings us life. Thank you. Salmon song. This next song is called Even When You're Far Away, and it speaks to when we have to leave our loved ones to go fishing. But it was also inspired by my great-grandparents, who loved me so well that I'd like to think that it taught me to love the people that are still in this world with us. Even when you're far away. To handle salmon by your side. You saw me and I could feel your pride. So long ago, you're being left this world, but your fire lives on in those you touched with your good. Even though you're gone away, your love is with us still. Your hands cared for us with the food you made. I can still smell and taste your smoked fish in my mind. Your kindness continues when I create and share. Sometimes it feels as if you are still here, even though you're gone away. Your love is with us still. Time and death did not take you away, because you came into our hearts to stay. Even though you're gone away, your love is with us still. I tried many times to be close to another heart. Then you came into my life and something felt altered. When I'm in nature, I see you in everything. Don't you know that you make my heart sing? Even when you're far away, your love is with me still. Time and distance cannot take you away, because you came into my heart to stay. Even when you're far away, your love is with me still. Even when you're far away, your love is with me still. Even when you're far away. Thank you. Thanks. This next song is called Seasons. It's, it references fall, winter, spring, summer, but for those of you who fish many fishing seasons, gear types, types of fish, it's for you too. I realized it's a little bit like a Maurice Sendak song, or the story Chicken Soup with Rice, the months of the year song, except it's more about the seasons and circling back all the way around and kind of revolving your life around salmon. Is like the seasons, and I don't mean in a moody way, I just mean in the beauty way, yo. Oh. When it's cold outside and the ground is white, we find ways for our hearts to glide on. Oh. When the waters turn to green, we become like the birds and bees on. Oh. When the hope of spring turns to summer sun, then it's time to catch salmon now. Oh. Aha. Baby, our love is like the seasons, and I don't mean in a moody way, I just mean in the beauty way, yo. Oh. the rain. It's time to play music and drink champagne now. Oh. When the feasting of fall pulls up a blanket of snow, it's back around the seasons we go. Wow. Oh. Baby, all of it's like the seasons, and I don't mean in a moody way, I just mean in the beauty way, yo. Oh. All of is like, all of is like the, all of is like the seasons, all of is like the seasons, all of is like the seasons. Oh, 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 oh. All of is like the seasons. Oh, oh. Thank you. I've got one more, and it's meant to be a song of encouragement to all you fishermen who are having a tough time, and you're just trying to figure out how to keep going, especially after like the crazy market conditions that we experienced this last year around salmon, and loss of markets. But yeah, you'll figure out a way if fishing is what you want to do. So hopefully this'll help a little, give you a little boost. All this life can bring. I forgot the capo. No wonder. Sorry. All this life can bring pain and sorrow, and there always is a hot tomorrow. Bring yourself into what you do, and you will find a way to make it through this life, oh, this life. Even when it seems like nothing is paying off, keep on going. You never know how what you do now will make it showing in your life, this life. Oh, your life, all this life, your life. Oh, this life. Even when it seems like nothing is paying off, keep going. You never know how what you do now will make it showing in your life, this life. Oh, your life, this life, your life. Oh, your life, of this life. Thank you, thank you. It's always so much fun. This is so amazing. I just want to make sure I have everything together.
Thank you, Melanie. Let's have another round of applause of appreciation. Next, we have Dennis McGuire. He's a 50... Oh, what did I do with my glasses? I know nobody else in the group has that problem. He's a 50-year commercial diver and fisherman from Washington and Alaska, and has worked in Cordova, Copper River, and Prince William Sound. Please put your hands together for Dennis McGuire.
Evening, folks. Tonight I'm going to bring back a poem. I wrote this poem for the first Fisher Poet I attended about 15 years ago. I wrote it in honor of the Columbia River Coast Guard and a taxi cab driver in Astoria. They saved our lives here on the Columbia River Bar. You might have noticed buoy 10 on the road as you go by the Coast Guard Museum. I think you could find lots of stories about buoy 10, and that's why I think it's sitting in the parking lot. This is a story about buoy 10 and a boat called Froya and a guy named Joe, my deckhand. We just come in from a fishing trip. We were low on ice. We didn't really want to come in and quit fishing, but we had to. Had to take all those fish. So we were headed in for Ilwaco. We were crossing the bar, about a 10-foot swell, almost midnight. All was well. Following sea, 10-foot swell. We didn't have a clue. We were headed for hell. Riding the top of a big flood tide, keeping red buoys to the starboard side. Gonna deliver our tuna in the Ilwaco. And we'll go have a beer and a taco. Little did we really know, Tommy Knocker was running this show. Buoy 10 off our bow. That's when the Tommy Knocker struck. And how? Surfing in on that red buoy at night. Got to keep the light on my right. But the helm felt unduly slack. I could not get the bow to come back. Now we're surfing. What a ride. And that red buoy shot past our port side. All I could do was say, we just hit. When Froya piled up on Clatsop Spit. Heaved up on the spit, top of the flood. Looked like Mother Nature was out for blood. All the windows went away with the first wave. I did not think which boat we could save. The VHF on the blink after I took a big drink. On the CB, a call I put out, a cabbie in Astoria come back with a shout. We're on the bar, Clatsop Spit. We can't last long. We need a Coast Guard, lickety split. Boats on our side, windows blown out. we can't last long. There is no doubt. Cabby said, waves are breaking over with tremendous fury. Cabby said, they'll be there in a hurry. They come by sea. They come by air. Now the Coast Guard is everywhere. Up in the sky, a chopper does fly. I asked the cabby the reason why. He said, they're going to drop a basket on you. There'll be a line in it from that big ship out yonder. But touch that basket, you better not. That static electricity is really hot. So me and Joe are hanging on the mast. Basket's just swinging past. I swing a gaff hook with all of my might, and it lit me up like a neon light. That cabby's warning was well-founded when that basket I had grounded. Well, in it, there was no line. Then the cabby comes across the radio, tells us we must now evacuate. I yelled to Joe, get in the basket, Joe. His eyes are wide. He's shaking his head, no. I think he would have tried if he hadn't just watched me fly. I tell the cabby, we're not getting this in this cab. We're not leaving this boat. We got to find a way to make her float. The cabby says, well, okay. And that chopper, it flew away. A boat sent into the breakers now, trying to get close to our bow. Poor Froya, they could not reach. Now there's two boats on the beach. Another boat comes in on the run. This party's really getting fun. Under this parachute's flare-lit night, the Coast Guard's lines are stretched tight. Off the beach, their stranded brother they hauled. All this while, we're still being mauled. Into the surf, another boat comes in, only to smack that beach again. The Coast Guard is busy pulling each other off. To them, my hat I doff. I'll bet those kids from Peoria cursing the day they wound up in Astoria. Well, the cabby comes a radio. He says, they're going to give her another go. From their boat, a small line will be dispatched. You haul it in, and there'll be a hawser attached. So me and Joe clinging to the mast. Whatever we do, Joe, we got to get that line. Because, my friend, we ain't got much time. A loud report rips through the ocean's fury. Joe and I react in a hurry, hurling ourselves into the night sky to catch this line as it's going by. Then of a sudden, there's a loud whack. When that bullet, the mast, it did smack. Joe's looking at me with a silly grin. That bullet landed where our heads had just been. Well, we hauled in the line, got the hawser, and tied her off to the bow. Told the cabby they could start pulling now. That line stretched tight through the surf. Those coasties were pulling for all they're worth. Another shot rang out through the din. Joe and I hit the deck thinking they had a shot at us again. But to our dismay, that line had parted and gone away. Another boat comes in on the run, only to smack that beach again. Another shot rings out through the din. They shot at us again. Joe and I hit the deck, thinking, this is never going to end. Another boat comes in, and then McGuire forgets his next line. Just like that. This sucks. Anyway, another boat comes in. They fire another line. This time, we get it. I'm completely lost here in the poem. We're just going to tell the story. Yeah, good audience. I love you. Forgiving. So anyway, where was I? Help me out, Pat. We got that line tied off to the bow. Told the bar cabby they could start pulling now. The line stretched through the tight to the surf. I already said that, didn't I? Yep. I'm having a ball up here. I'm terrified. Where the hell was I? Let me think here. Okay. God, how can it go blanco? I mean, completely blanco. Okay. Start from where the line parted. The line parted and gone away. Into the coast, into the surf, comes another boat on the run. Now this party's really getting fun. Under this parachute flare right, I did that right. Anyway, we got tied up. It all went well. Coasties are pulling for all their work. Out of the surf, no. Then the bow, come around toward the sea. From Columbia River Bar, had let Froya go free. Down below, we found the steering quadrant broken. Tommy Knocker's gun was smoking. 5 a.m. when we got hauled into Ilwaco, it was omelets and coffee instead of a beer and a taco. Good God, that was bad. I am literally terrified up here. Okay, let me tell you something else. I see. They're pretty funny, isn't it? Yeah, this guy's getting a big kick out of my pain and misery. So anyway, so are you, I see. So, okay, so anyway, this speaks to the brutality of what we do and the respect we have for this fish. We take care of our fish as best we possibly can under conditions of wild weather and hard to get to a tender to get the fish off, and got to get them filleted. You know, everything got to be perfect right down the line. So when it hits your plate, it's the best salmon you ever ate. And so that was how fishermen can account for the brutality of what we do. And so this poem kind of gives you an idea of what we do. This old workhorse, the stall, she's a bangin', because the Cordova 500 saddling up for the hanging. 250,000 horses on bit stay chomp. Now the Cordova 500's wearing the romp. Crossing the flats on a high-strung steed. It's great to be a rider in the Cordova Stampede. Out of the bars these ponies are pouring. A great big minus ebb tide, she's a roaring. 500's looking for a big surprise when the hanging commences at sunrise. fish and feathers, good looking too. They're really hoping they're gonna be hanging you. Nets go whizzing off the boats. Water's a tangle of little white floats. Tide's gone away. All's left is sand. Everybody's picking fish to beat the band. On top of a hill, a lonely soul looks around. He's not fishing, because he went aground. Tide's coming back in a flooding fury. Nets go over the line in an awful hurry. Fish and feathers, they're to pounce, taking every fish right to the last ounce. Bucking home, when the hanging's done, we're bucking into the midnight sun to tell our stories and fish tales and how we frolic in those galloping gales. Now Nellie's back in her stall. She ain't fishing 'cause it's late fall. Waiting for spring, this salty steed, waiting for Cordova stampede. That's what I got for you. That's what I got. I hope you could. I just really appreciate this audience. You've really allowed me to suffer up here in comfort. Appreciate it. Dano?
Great job.
Well, thank you, sir.
All right, let's give it up for Dennis McGuire here. You know, to get up here without any notes, and I know because I've done it and I've been up here and had the same thing happen where you're halfway through your story and you forget the line, and it's a terrible feeling. But you've never had a better audience than the FisherPoets Gathering audience, who's all pulling for you to get through that gale or off the beach or whatever you're doing in your story. So thanks a lot, Dennis. That was an awesome story for us. Thank you very much. All right. In the middle of the 8 o'clock hour here, or winding down the 8 o'clock hour, our third reader this hour is Annie Howell-Adams. She's hailing from San Juan Island up in Washington. There's another place I love. I spend quite a bit of time there in the spring and the fall. She fished for 12 years, trolling in Southeast Alaska, starting with a 13-foot open skiff, hand trolling, owner-operator of the fishing vessel Marvel. 13-foot open skiff, that's pretty gutsy fishing right there. All right, well, let's welcome Annie to the stage. Whoa.
I've got 2 pieces I want to just give me some good sound right on my... All right, testing. How's that sound, everybody? Sounding good? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Right, there we go. Boom. All righty. All right. Let's see. I got to be able to read my notes. I'm going to take you on board my fishing vessel, the fishing vessel Marvel. It was a 34-foot wooden trawler built in 1924 in Coos Bay, Oregon. I bought it in Olympia and took it up to Sitka, Alaska. And I'm going to read a little bit of prose, a story about my first day at Cape Edgecombe on my own boat, the Marvel. Okay, the crest of the wave. Opening day of the summer salmon season, I was 24 years old and a bad combination of inexperience, naivete, and fearlessness. The Pacific Ocean wasn't a lake in Minnesota. It wasn't even the serene waters that glistened peacefully around my home on San Juan Island. If I didn't pay attention, the Pacific Ocean was out to kill me. The granite sky closed in like my exhaustion. I pulled 4 lines of trolling gear on board. Looking across the big seas, I wondered which direction offered better shelter for the night. From Cape Edgecombe at the northern tip of Sitka Sound, 2 possibilities emerged. One behind an exposed volcanic island, St. Lazaria Island. The other, Gilmer Bay, a protected bay 45 minutes run to the north. The bay seemed safer, but I didn't really know. What did I know on opening day of the salmon season with my own boat, Marvel? Very little. I unrolled the paper chart of Sitka Sound and calculated the distances to both anchorages. Lumpy southwest swells broke on our stern, pushing Marvel along. Between the lack of sleep getting ready for opening day, seasickness, and being tossed around in the cockpit, I was more than ready to take a break from the intensity of fishing in big ocean swells, waves the size of city buses. Since untying from the Sitka dock early that morning, in what seemed like days ago, I hadn't developed a secure trust in the high combing surrounding Marvel's cockpit to wedge me in place as I trolled for king salmon in a fishable but rough ocean. My movements felt awkward, tense, exhausting. My first day of the troll season took months of preparation. Over the winter, I found Marvel for sale at the very bottom of Puget Sound. I knew immediately it was the boat, the one for me. The previous owner was more than happy to sell her. He showed me a few things, we worked out the finances, and I took off for Seattle. Fisherman's Terminal in Ballard was the best place to prepare for the upcoming season. I had a slip on Dock 6. I tried to understand all the equipment on the boat, the diesel engine, the most mysterious part. But I was a sponge, soaking up as much knowledge as I could. Fishermen offered their advice if I asked, but in the beginning, I hardly knew what to ask. The specific language of motors was foreign. Alternators, fuel injectors, 12 volts, transducer, transmission, what did it all mean? How was it supposed to work? And what was I gonna do if, God forbid, anything broke? I took a couple of classes, navigation and diesel mechanics over the winter at a marine school in Ballard, but almost none of it made any sense to me. In spite of that, I kept going all spring, determined to make it to Sitka for the opener. It was no small feat that I had made it in time up the inside passage, Seattle to Sitka, without mishap. With all the lines rigged, I caught a modest amount of salmon the first day of the summer troll season, skipper of my own boat. I was happy for the catch. I didn't have a network of fishing partners yet, no one to radio and ask their advice. Where's the best place to anchor off the Cape? I would have asked had I known someone. I only had a chart and a weather report to go by. Hello all stations, hello all stations. Marine forecast for Sitka Sound, overnight and into tomorrow. Winds 20 knots from the southwest. Same as today, I thought, big sloppy seas. Gilmer Bay would be a better anchorage. I pored over the chart again. The route was fairly straight ahead. At the entrance of the bay, there were 2 potentially nasty rocks. The dimming light was nerve-wracking. Would those rocks be visible? Why had I waited so long to find an anchorage? Why didn't I ask someone where to anchor before I left town? Now, I had too many questions and not enough time before dark. I was on my own, headed towards the bay's entrance. Marvel rode nicely in the big seas, her stern lifting up each time a wave crested and broke under the hull, snapping us forward like a game of crack the whip. The ocean was toying with me, except for me, it wasn't a game. At the top of a wave, looking down into the trough, the bottom fell away. I spotted a surprise, a deadly surprise, a rock, a reef, a landmine in the sea, waiting in ambush to smash Marvel's hull. What is that? I gasped. I actually didn't see much of the rock itself. What I saw was white water and spray outlining its jagged shape. There shouldn't have been anything at the bottom of a wave, only deep, dark ocean water. A big Pacific swell whipped Marvel forward towards the killer rock. Instinct took hold. I turned the wheel hard to port, veering left, gripping the spokes of the old wooden wheel. I held my breath. Come on, Marvel, let's keep it together. We rode down the wave like a surfer, coming down the face at a diagonal, away from the rock that would have ended my fishing career, sunk my boat, and pulled me into the sea without a trace. After dropping anchor in Gilmer Bay, I unrolled the chart to see what I had missed, what had gone wrong. There it was, a tiny, dreaded star mark indicating a half-submerged rock, hidden at high tide, visible at low tide, and in big rolling seas, dangerous as hell. I misjudged my position. I was closer to land than I thought. The ocean currents flooding around Cape Edgecombe had swept Marvel inshore. This is when all the what-ifs avalanched in my mind. I fumed at myself for not knowing where I was, but mostly I felt ashamed that I'd made such a terrible, inept mistake. Reading a chart was the only skill I felt confident about, and I couldn't even do that. I collapsed into my bunk. I wanted to hide, forget where I was and what had just happened. Worst of all, I felt that I'd let my father down. He was the one who had taught me to read a chart. The next day, I played out the scene at the top of the wave over and over in my mind. Adrenaline and coffee got me through the first early dawn hours. During the morning bite, I immediately started to gaff salmon aboard. The rhythm of work calmed me down. I felt the roll of the boat and worked with it. The rough seas eased. Thoughts and old memories bubbled up. Then, all at once, I was a kid with my brother out in our skiff. Every summer growing up, I was the lookout, stationed in the bow of our little open motorboat, watching for kelp or logs or things that would tangle up in our propeller. All those joyful summers with sun and wind blowing in my hair, stationed in the bow of the skiff with a big orange life jacket tied under my chin, watching, looking for anything that shouldn't be there, prepared me for the moment on top of the wave. I knew to look out, look ahead, look across the bow, look for danger in the water, that white foamy spray I saw in the dim evening light. It was by the slimmest of chances I saw something that wasn't right. In the 12 years that I commercial fished in Alaska, I experienced nothing more dangerous than on that first day. Sharks, storms, breakdowns, all kinds of frightening and wondrous things alike. But that rock at the bottom of the wave was the scariest close call of my fishing career. I never told anyone about it until now, 40 years later. A bad memory to put in a box, lock up tight, hide somewhere in my house of shame, never to be spoken of. Alaska's riddled with stories of vessels that disappear, sinkings without maydays, boats that never make it back. If I say I was lucky, that is the truth. Double lucky. First to be there in the game, and second to survive it. Thank you. Oh yeah, that's good. And I have another little short piece of prose from the end of my fishing career. On either side of my salmon season, I would crew on longline boats, black cod fishing out in the Gulf of Alaska. And I'll just take you on board opening day, or the day before opening day. 3 days before the spring black cod season, a group of storied halibut schooners waited dockside in Yakutat Harbor. Across the bay was a view to a picture-perfect peak, Mount St. Elias. It showed from sea level straight up to its 19,000-foot peak. Spectacular was an understatement. But the Gulf of Alaska weather rarely gave a full, unencumbered view. The boat I was working on, the All-Star, was tied up along one of the piers next to several Highline Seattle boats, the Northern, the Seymour, and the Republic. These legendary boats were the best of the best in the longline fleet. While comparing notes about our diesel stoves and what we made for breakfast, we, the cooks, decided to have a communal halibut potluck dinner. The halibut feed would be in the Seymour's large forecastle, a space that could accommodate all the crews waiting in Yakutat. A hook and line was dropped right off the dock into the pristine harbor. It only took a few minutes to catch a 30-pound halibut, enough for everyone to share. Each cook made their specialty, tartar sauce, garlic bread. My contribution was a big bowl of cabbage and apple coleslaw. The fish was so fresh, it had an iridescent sheen. Bite-sized pieces were cooked up in beer batter on an enormous diesel stove. We shared the fish, the first sacrificial fish of the season, and toasted to good fishing, success, and safety like a blessing of the fleet. At our gathering, I looked at each person around the large wooden table in the galley of this revered wooden boat. The forecastle ambiance spoke of the generations of fishermen who had lived and worked on board. I looked at each face, mostly bearded young men, strong, funny. The vitality was palpable. I was the only woman present, but it was not an issue. I had broken through a door that had always been shut to women. I was there by choice, by courage, by acceptance. I was part of this crew. If ever there was a moment that said fortune favors the brave, it was this moment. The day before the opening was the calm before the storm. We all knew what lay ahead. A long run out to sea, out to the edge of the continental shelf, where we would dare the ocean and take our chances to fish for a living. If we'd known what was to come, we might have stayed tied to the dock, but fishing openings weren't that way. If there was an opening, we went out to sea. Thank you. Could you help me off the stage? Can you help me off the stage?
Sure can. Thank you very much. That was enrapturing and incredible. Let's give another round of applause for her. And she's a good storyteller. We'll take a 10-minute break, and then we'll start the, I don't even know what time it is, the 9 o'clock set. Okay, thank you. And if you haven't filled out one of the cards telling us who you are and what you want us to say about you, I'll make it up.
Well, it's good night, Joe. Guess we've had us a time. Wore a hole through them cards and you took my last dime. But you ain't beat me yet. You've had plenty of time. Ain't there nothing two old fools can't do? Better get on your way. There's a breeze blowing easterly. You're a slowpoke and it's no joke. You ain't what you used to be. Those clouds on the moon make it harder than hell to see, and you know it's a long way to go. And it's good night, Joe. Don't forget to put plenty of coal on the fire.
Hey, thanks for joining us for a moment. Can I ask you your name?
I'm Karen Lee,
Hey, Karen, where did you come in from?
Eugene, Oregon. Oh, yeah, just from Eugene.
Okay, is it your first time to the Fisher Poets?
Actually, we saw the poets when they came to the Newport Aquarium years ago and fell in love with it. So, no, this is not our first time.
Oh, that is fantastic. I had not known that they'd been in Newport. So
Yes, they were. They
awesome.
went to the aquarium there.
Is this your first? Tell me your favorite piece of it. It's only Saturday. We haven't done the Saturday performances, but
I think I really enjoyed the women. I mean, it's amazing, really amazing. So, yeah.
okay. Any tips for people that are coming, or anything you want to tell people about coming to the Fisher Poets Gathering?
Well, the cool thing is you can just park and walk. I mean, you look at it and you think it's everywhere, but really it's here. So I love that. So I'm lost, and that's good. So I'm having fun, yeah.
I'm so glad to hear it. I hope you continue to have fun, and thanks for talking with us today.